Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is John with Addicted to Fishing. Today we're going to talk about line. More specifically, some of the different types of line that I use and the applications that I like to use that line with. I've got a whole box of line, all kinds of different stuff. Picked up one of these totes, labeled it line, and I can keep all my line out of the sun, keep it pretty well protected, and nice and handy. So anyway, let's kind of dive right into this. One of the newer lines that I was using over the past couple of years, and it's specifically designed for spinning reels, is the Berkeley Solutions. You see, that's a 4-pound, and it's has low, and it says it's low memory. It's low memory. It is a mono. They call that color of that line a green mist. It's got a little bit of green to it, but it's specifically designed for spin cast. I've got that on a few of my panfish rods, and I absolutely love it. Staying along the lines of straight up mono, a couple of my favorites. You'll probably see these two the most if you were to look at my line and looking at mono and or fluorocarbon. This one is just a house brand from Bass Pro Shop. This is the Izer Line. If you go to Bass Pro Shop, if you didn't know it, you buy a new reel. If you let them know, they'll put whatever line you want on it. They spool it up right there. If you get the Izer, I know for a fact they spool that for free. I like to throw a lot of my small finesse stuff on this 6-pound on mono. The other one that I'll use is made by Berkeley. You'll see it in two different forms. This is the regular Trilene XL. And then the one that I buy a lot of and use a lot, and I can buy it in a nice almost 1,200 yard spool, is the Big Game. I like the Big Game. I'll use it anywhere from 6-pound all the way up to 30-pound. 30-pound. Let me see if I got a spool handy here. I should. But I'll use it in this green, the clear. And then when I'm catfishing, that's where I use it a lot. I like this, what they call solar collector. You can see that. That's got a nice lime green color to it. It's real easy for me to see when I'm fishing, deadlining on the bottom for big cats. Tell you what, that Big Game line is absolutely great line. It's really resistant, easy to tie, easy to, that solar collector color. You know, guys, I'll show you the two side by side. If you're deadlining for catfish, even if you're throwing a bobber, this one versus this one, daytime, I see this one better. I see this one, and I wear glasses, but I can see this one moving a lot better. So when I'm bottom fishing, I definitely use this solar collector. I did have some orange lines and stuff like that. I like that brighter line so that I can see it. Even if I'm finesse fishing, I try to find something that's a little brighter. I'm probably going to start getting some more of that brighter greens and orange lines, at least, you know, as the main line in a tie. You know, like something like the Stren Fluorocarbon or a mono leader to it, just so I can see that line. You know, if you're fishing, really finesse fishing, drop shot, Ned head, dragging little creature baits on the bottom or something, you can see that jump in that line a lot easier on those brighter lines. One that I don't fish a lot, it has its time, it has its place, it's just not something I throw a lot because of some of the areas that I fish, is that fluorocarbon. This is a 4-pound fluorocarbon. You can see I've used that spool up pretty good. And I'll cover why what I've chosen to use versus straight fluorocarbon. The Fluorocast is a great line. I do have some Sunline. I do have some other stuff that I do rig up, some Abrase X, some stuff like that. All great line. Nothing against Fluorocarbon. It works really, really well. Kind of that it is called Polymer type lines is what I've been using. One that I've been using for years is the Izer hybrid. This isn't a 4-pound. They call it Smoke. I don't even see this much anymore. And the other one that I've really started to like is the Izer Line. And that's in a copolymer as well. It's kind of a combination of, the way I understand it, it's kind of a combo between the mono and fluorocarbon. A lot of people think that the best sensitivity comes from braid. I can't say that I 100% agree with that. I know that I feel a lot more fish when I am fishing a fluorocarbon. If I'm fishing a place where I know it doesn't have that, I think it has some of that abrasion resistance. To me, it doesn't work really good around rocks, but I have okay luck with it on around wood and things like that. The one thing about braid that people don't seem to keep in mind, and that's my next line, whether you're using Power Pro. This is 65-pound Power Pro. That's when I'm fishing in some nasty junk. And I've also used the Trilane Big Game 65-pound braid. I'm going to try that out versus just the standard Power Pro. I want to see what the difference is in the two. The Big Game is you get a lot more money or a lot more line for the bucks. You're getting a better bang for the buck. I don't know how smooth it is, how well it lays. But one of the things that people, I think, have a misunderstanding with braid. Braid has zero stretch to it. If it does have stretch, it's very, very minimal. With that said, braid, you don't have to hit the home run swing setting a hook with braid. It's just if you're fishing in that slop, you don't have to try to swing into the other side of the boat to get that hook set. It's a quick snap up, and if it's a sharp hook, you're gonna drive it home. And that's one of the big reasons why I like braid or off-fish braid is if I'm in places where I know there's absolute slop and junk, and I need something to pull them fish out, I want that braid. I want that toughness that the braid has. It's not 100% abrasion resistant. I like to see how well this Big Game holds up. They call it, where they say it's super strong and it's got extreme fighting power. I haven't used it yet, but I wanna spool up and go out to a couple ponds that I know that got a lot of slop in it. See how it works. I know the Power Pro does a really, really good job. I was able to find a lot of Power Pro on clearance and bought up a bunch of that as I could. If I find a really, really good sale on some of these lines, I buy it. But that's one of the reasons why I buy this Power Pro. This is not the Power Pro, but the Big Game line. You can find this at your local Wally World. These rolls of line are not expensive for the amount. This is 440 yards. This is 330 yards. For a comparison, Power Pro about the same price at Walmart. This is 150 yards, 330 yards. You're getting double the braid for the money. Kind of a question that a lot of people ask me is how often do I change out my line? I change my line out as needed. I don't really have a set time frame. You'll know when your line's going bad. If you're starting to get a lot of memory in your mono that you normally didn't have, you can of course stretch it. I don't boil it. I don't soak it. I don't do all that. I try to stay away from those kinds of lines that are like that. I do buy, let me see if I've got one handy here. You know, guys, this is a pretty good trick for you, tip, if you will. Okay, to help you when you're spooling line, and I'll explain that here in a second. But going back to just changing out my line, you know, if my mono is really starting to coil up and it looks bad, I change it out. Sometimes that's once a season, sometimes it's more than that. And guys, I don't fish, you know, 150 days in a month, or go out 150 times in a month. You know, that's a lot. You know, if you went out 3 times a day in a month, that's probably 90 fishing trips. We'll say the average guy in a month fishes 40 times. You know, and that's a guy that's out there fishing more tournament style, you know, and he's hitting tournament after tournament after tournament, plus he's pre-fishing, plus he might be going out with, you know, his friends out on a pond or something. You know, I think 20-something days a month is probably the real average. But yeah, the line will speak for itself. Braid-wise, what I like to do with braid is when I spool up with braid, and after usually the first year, sometimes a little bit longer, what I will do is, and I have a rotation going on my reels, is I'll pull the braid, I'll take the braid on the one reel, run it down through all the eyes, attach it to another reel, and wind it in so the old stuff is in the back and new stuff's in the front. You can double up your time on that braid. Braid lasts forever. It doesn't break down as easily. You know, fluorocarbon. Yeah, I'm probably changing out my fluorocarbon. You know, every you know, and I'm using it for a liter. I probably change that out every fifth time I go, every fifth trip. If I've been sitting and I haven't thrown a reel that has fluorocarbon, or you know, I probably change it out every trip that when I want to pick it up. Quick tip for you to save money, you know, especially if you're using, you know, this Power Pro. This is one of those high vis yellows. Power Pro is not expensive, but if you're sold on Power Pro and you like that, one of the things that you could do, and it's the way I like to do it. I don't like to tape that braid onto the reel. You could definitely do that, but what's better is using a mono backer. And again, it's just for backer. Get you some of this. That's 20 pound. That's 8 pound. Spinning reel, casting reel. Why am I using the cheap Zepco, Shakespeare, whatever, and it's on there, Zepco, Shakespeare, but it's Omniflex. Why am I using this cheap, under $5, 700 yards of mono? What I like to do is I'll put that as a backer, get it on, reel it up, so I can put, you know, if I'm putting 200 yards, or if I'm using this spool, I get 300 yards here. I don't need 300 yards of braid. You know, if I'm, you can see it in the background, the amount of rods that I have. If you put a cheap backer on it and run, you know, I don't even know how many yards I put on there, but say you put 50 yards of that cheap backer on there, you'll cut down on how much of this you're using. Same deal though. Once you've fished maybe a year on the one side of your spool on that braid, you can flip it around and run it back over. Tie your double uni, whatever kind of knot you're using, the connection knot, and turn that braid around. You know, use it the other side. That's a great tip. I've done it with mono too. I don't like it as much. I do like using the line conditioners. I use the KVD line conditioner, and I use reel snot. And I find that using those line conditioners help me get more time out of my line. They definitely work. They're definitely worth the investment. I haven't noticed much of a difference between real snot versus KVD's line conditioner. If you're fishing every day, or you're fishing on fishing a lot, as you're out guiding, you're professional fishing, you're fishing tournaments, you might notice a difference between the real snot versus the KVD conditioner. I just simply don't find a difference in it. And again, I pick up whichever one's on sale. Again, guys, this is my opinion. This is, if you don't like using a cheap $3 backer, don't use it. Run straight braid if you want. I'm not saying it won't work, but if you want to cut cost and save significant money, buy you some of that cheap mono and put it on as a backer. One, if you're backing with that, you don't have to worry about that braid slipping. Two, it's just a backer. It's never going to be tied to a hook. You're never going to put enough backer on that you're making it more that to a higher quality line as the leader. I wouldn't even think about doing that. I just put enough of that line on it to save myself some of the more expensive line, and plus, just as a backer, it's a backer. I've even, I use this even with my fluorocarbon. When you're spending, get fluorocarbon, if it's a $20, $30, $40 spool of fluorocarbon, whatever the brand that you're using in a price range, if you could cut that cost in half and using this stuff, I don't see why you wouldn't. Guys, again, we're fishing on a budget here. We're trying to save money, and that'll do it for you. That'll save significant money. Different types of line for different applications. I'm not really going to get too much in depth on that. There's a plethora of videos out there. The fluorocarbon sinks. It has a real high sensitivity, has a really good abrasion resistance. Mono stretches, it floats, doesn't really have great abrasion resistance. Braid floats, zero stretch, pretty decent abrasion resistance, at least in my opinion. I've used that 50-pound braid. I was catfishing down on a river and snagged up, and I had no clue what I was even bringing in. I brought in, a pretty giant log. I've reeled in, you name it. Where I was out on the Whitewater River, people used to throw anything and everything out of their house down there. I had one of my big surf rods down there, and I was reeling in a stove. And that's how strong braid is. But guys, anyway, that's my take on fishing line. Ways to save money. Again, flip that braid around, re-spool it back to another reel. Use your cheap backer. Even if you're using a more expensive mono and you don't want to, you're fishing straight mono and you don't, you're finding a mono that costs you a few more bucks, don't be afraid to put some of that cheap mono backer on it. I typically don't do that because mono is not that expensive to begin with. But definitely when I do braid and fluorocarbon, I put that backer on it. But anyway, guys, if you have any questions about the types of lines that I'm using, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Smash that like button, comment, share the videos. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to put in a lot of effort, a lot of work. So far this year, I've put out more videos than I have since I started this. Well, not since I originally started this channel, but since I started the fishing part of this channel. So I'm definitely trying to dedicate my time into helping you guys out, become better anglers, and save money. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.